Scientifically speaking, we're sharing the view. From labs to clinics, breakthrough shining through. With minds that inspire and stories to unfold. Scientifically speaking, the future's being told.
Welcome to another episode of Scientifically Speaking with Christine on Oz Arab Media. Before we start, I would like to mention that my hair today is done by Laurent Hair Salon. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects nearly everyone, which is how the changing job market, technology advances, and evolving skill demands are reshaping careers and education. With the rise of automation and AI, shifting industries and economic uncertainty, the ideal of a job for real life is fading, and lifelong learning is really becoming essential. Joining us today is Subhi Madi, General Manager for Education and Training at MTC FutureReady. He really knows the challenges and opportunities of today's workforce better than most. So let's welcome him. Subhi, welcome to the show.
Hi, Christine. Thank you very much for having me.
Of course, at any time. Subhi, let me start by asking you a little bit about your role in MTC FutureReady and what education and training means in today's context if we want to compare it with 10 to 20 years ago.
Yeah, so I'm the General Manager at MTC FutureReady for the Education and Training Division. Yeah. So I'm essentially responsible for all of our training programs. They include a wide variety, but the main program that we deliver is an English language literacy, numeracy and digital literacy program called the Skills for Education and Employment program.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very diverse in terms of what we do, but in terms of our focus, it's all about providing individuals who need those essential skills in order to participate in the workforce or for lifelong learning, for social needs and things like that. The government in the latest iteration of this program has what they call a no wrong door policy. So any individual that's in need of accessing those essential skills can have a conversation with us and we can support them.
That's amazing. We never heard of these 10 to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So what made it kick in with your organization having, diverse groups, maybe the young people, the career changes. A lot of people change careers nowadays, seeking employment. There's a lot happening there. So from your experience, has the profile of learners changed in the recent years?
It certainly has. I mean, historically, our programs have been mostly targeted towards migrants and refugees. So when you think English language or you think individuals that can't speak English, but going back to your earlier point around how learning has changed in the last 10 years, there's a significant emphasis on digital skills. And as you're well aware, and your audience will be well aware, that if individuals can't engage with technology, then they're essentially going to be left out. Whether it's a white collar or a blue collar sort of industry, most employers, most industries are demanding those skills. And that's where we're seeing a sort of dramatic shift in the types of learners and cohorts that are accessing our programs and services.
That's very interesting. Well, you did mention the rapid change around as well technology and industries. What do you think is the most misconception people have about training or vocational education?
I think one of the big misconceptions is that if they don't have any prior knowledge of technology or if they haven't been to school, that they're just going to be left behind. I think what our programs and our services do is give everybody an opportunity, irrespective of where they sit on that sort of spectrum. So we have people who have completed, let's say, master's qualifications in their home country, but then others who may have left mainstream schooling for a variety of reasons. So anybody, irrespective of where their sort of starting point is, can come to us and we can sort of tailor, the service delivery around what their individual needs are. So I think it's a very unique opportunity for anybody that's looking at sort of upskilling for a variety of purposes, whether that's to re-enter the workforce or enter the workforce or for social purposes. We have in very recent history, some grandparents that are accessing
Wow.
our classes because they want to help their grandchildren with their homework.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
That is so cute. Well, that's amazing because not only grandparents, but, maybe the Aussie experience is the main issue that we usually have when we come as migrants to Australia.
Yeah.
So that would give them the opportunity really to kick in a new life.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Look, we hear a lot about future-proofing skills. What kinds of skills or training do you see are most valuable now and in the near future in these courses?
Well, AI is,
Yes.
is everywhere, is omnipresent. So we speak to a lot of our stakeholders who are sort of demanding that, their participants or their communities are sort of having at least some exposure to these tools that are going to completely upend the way that we live, work, and sort of participate in general society. So I think when it comes to the question of future-proofing, we are actively trying to update our service delivery models in order to ensure that those essential digital skills, whether they be AI or what have you, are sort of form a very strong basis of all of the training that we do. So it's not to suggest that, that's the only focus.
Yes.
But of course, when it comes to, let's say, 10, 15 years ago, writing a letter or writing an email, there's much more to those applications than just sort of simply accessing a device and doing those things. So we are working very closely with our teams in order to ensure that feedback is actioned and sort of embedded into a lot of our courses and our programs.
We should stay up to date in the end,
Sure.
which is great. MTC FutureReady does offer a lot of programs, not only the one that you've mentioned at the beginning.
Yep.
Well, you do a lot of English language courses, job-ready courses, youth and employment services, and many yet to mention. How do these services really help people adapt to the changing job markets and reduce unemployment risk if that's part of your expertise?
Because we offer such a wide range, so not only do we offer training courses, but one of the other programs that we offer is called self-employment assistance. So any individual that's looking at starting up their own small business can access this program. And what we do is go through a bit of a process around mentoring and coaching them to help them understand what it's like to sort of set up a business in Australia.
Kind of a business planning and the proofing and all that.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
So when it comes to promotions and marketing, the use of social media, profit and loss statements, business viability, we support that individual through that journey for a 12-month period. So I guess to your question around, it's not just about training, but we also offer programs or products, I should say, that help people on a sort of one-to-one basis around their specific goals and needs.
That's great. Amazing. Now, for migrants or people who English is their second language, what unique challenges and opportunities really exist when it comes to reskilling or retraining in the workforce?
Challenges. Yeah, look, there are several, and I guess it depends on the individual. I mean, we do have a lot of our students who have significant demands on their sort of personal time, whether they've got, families or children that they need to sort of tend to. I think there is a stigma around, maybe this isn't for me because I've got all of these things outside of, my immediate environment that I need to sort of look after. But, our programs are very flexible. So in addition to the fact that we have a very large presence throughout the Sydney Southwest area, in the Canterbury Bankstown area, of course, our largest sites in Bankstown and Cabramatta have multiple classrooms that the students can access. We are also one of 3 what we call national distance providers. So
online courses.
What our distance offering enables people to do is to sort of tend to those personal needs or personal circumstances, whether they're a stay-at-home mum or a full-time employee. We can tailor our service around their individual circumstances. So there's no minimum hourly commitment. It's just sort of suggests that, if it's 5 hours a week where we just sort of focus on improving somebody's conversation skills via, online learning, we can do that.
Amazing. But what if this person is really skillful, but lacks the language? Do you have things like remedial English or something that puts them on the right track so they can become more skillful in what they're doing?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think in a lot of cases, our teachers are well qualified. They have a lot of experience, and so they can work with individuals on that sort of one-to-one basis in order to ensure that we provide that extra support. As part of our program as well, there's a sort of feature that the students can access up to 3 hours of sort of mentorship. And so let's say, for example, somebody's having challenges with completing a housing application. Our what we call participant support officers can assist individuals through some of those non-vocational needs.
Look, when I first heard about MTC, I thought it was just like TAFE, give courses and go. But there's a lot of services out there, which is amazing to hear and great to have, our audience know that in our area. Now, we know now that lifelong learning is important. I want to know how important, not just early education, given that industries are really evolving, well, thanks to automation and AI, how important it is to actually stay on lifelong learning?
I think it's absolutely critical. I mean, just with the way that things are evolving through AI, I mean, we're only at the start of what is going to be a very long sort of process. So I think it's absolutely critical that individuals sort of familiarize themselves with these tools and how they can benefit, not only themselves in terms of their learning journey, but how it's going to sort of upend particular industries. So the need to sort of stay abreast with these sort of skills or with these tools, whether they be AI, digital, and all the rest of it, is, I think, absolutely critical.
Amazing. But also not only, the way of learning is evolving, but the industry itself, regardless what industry you decide to go to, we're hearing a lot of retraining or, switching careers from one industry to another. And it can definitely be daunting at points, especially for older workers, like you mentioned, or for those that are disadvantaged backgrounds. What emotional or societal barriers do you see most often at MTC, and how do you support it?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I think they're, particularly as individuals sort of get to a particular point in life, they sort of feel as though, potentially that they can't sort of transition to a new industry or a new career because they're sort of set in their ways. I think what we can do through our programs and our staff is identify, well, what are some skills that any individual has and how can we use those skills and apply them to a different industry. So one of our programs is called Career Transition Assistance, and it does exactly what I just sort of mentioned there around identifying what an individual's skills are and how they can be transferred across several industries. So I don't know if that entirely answers your question, but I think it's, the starting point is having a conversation, is sort of picking up the phone and sort of talking to somebody about, hey, like, I feel like I'm being left behind. Is there anything that you can do to help me? And our staff, are very well equipped around identifying where the individual is at and which area or which program can most benefit them.
So the more I ask questions, the more I find what you guys do, which is amazing, even if it doesn't hit the question straight away, but our audience would know where to go if they need these things. Now, with technology reshaping the jobs, there's a lot of risk, or people think, around inequality, right? What responsibilities does your institution ensure to fairness and inequality for accessibility of
Well, as an organisation, we sort of pride ourselves on inclusivity, irrespective of who you are, where you're from. We establish an environment that accepts and welcomes everybody to our programs. So don't think there's any issue around somebody feeling as though they can't participate because of race, religion, ethnicity. That's absolutely something that is not welcome within any of our locations. So I think it's just to give the community a level of confidence that what we do, we do with heart and with compassion. We've had several of our students, who approach us that may have been in sort of environments where it was just a particular group or a particular kind, and they come to one of our classes and they see the mixture of culture and how rich that is in terms
That's
of just
lovely.
participating with each other. And I think, that's a really unique feature of what we do at MTC. But, what the beautiful thing about Australian society in general.
Yeah, it's just a mini Australia in the class.
Yes, absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, Subhi, being me and you, we know, coming from a different background, there's a lot of stigma
Yes.
around vocational education versus university degrees.
Yeah.
Now, after all what I'm hearing, what MTC does, would you like to bust a myth of skilling up versus academic degree through work?
Yeah, look, I mean, for me, I think university sort of changed in the last 20 years.
Yes.
And the sort of expectation that, you can only thrive with a tertiary qualification is something that, existed maybe when, during the 1990s and the 1980s. But with the way that sort of technology has completely upended the way that we, live, work and participate in society.
Becoming more practical kind of.
Yeah, I don't think employers or industry are sort of specifically looking at, a piece of paper as the main determiner as to whether an individual is suitable for a job.
Yes.
So I encourage people to sort of think about what alternate pathways there are or may be to university. Some jobs may not necessarily require a degree. So vocational education could be a better option or a faster option to getting that job, post-school or whatever the circumstances are. So I think, a lot of this sort of idea that, especially in our communities around the notion that you need to have a university degree in order to thrive in your career, I think that's quickly sort of dissipating.
Amazing. That does really answer my question. I love it. Do you foresee new types of credentials, micro certificates, continuous learning platforms, or any other flexible learning models that are coming or becoming a norm nowadays rather than the textbooks?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, most of our learning is done online. So like most institutions, we use a learning management platform called Canvas where the students can access at their sort of discretion. We do not, for the most part, issue any kind of hard copy materials and actively encourage our staff to use technology within the classroom, because when our students sort of leave our courses and they enter the workforce, the expectation is that they can navigate through a laptop and do all of the things that an employer would expect them to be doing.
Lovely. Look, it's a little amount of time, a lot of information, and I'm sure that if we keep on digging in, we keep on finding more information. But to keep it short and nice, I'd like to end this segment with a little bit of busting some myths. So a lot of people out there would say a statement. We want to let them know if it's true or false, with maybe a little bit of why.
Okay.
All right, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, my first one would be, once you finish school or university, you don't need to learn new skills anymore. That's all about it.
False.
False. Why do you think so?
Why? I mean, just look at how things have sort of evolved, even not even in the last 10 years, but in the last 2 years with the introduction of AI and it becoming, just a part of everything that we sort of do. So if you're not sort of making an active effort to familiarize yourself with these tools, you're going to get left behind very quickly.
As much as this is very important, young adults would not like this answer because they can't be done already by the studying, and now you're telling them you're going to study all your life, but that's it. My second statement is vocational or trade courses are second-rated compared to university
False. False. I think
we
if
just
you
mentioned,
look at some of the industries that are in very high demand, those that plumbers, electricians, carpenters, there are shortages all throughout the sort of the economy. So university may not be for everybody, and in terms of a guaranteed sort of career path, some of those trades are sort of really critical to Australia's infrastructure and future-proofing, future planning.
They're very expensive as well, so good on them. The third one, older workers cannot learn new digital skills. What do you tell the grandparents out there?
False. A big false to that one. We have so many of our mature age participants who, when they come into our courses may not be able to even hold a mouse, but by the end,
Wow.
they're producing emails on Microsoft Outlook.
Wow.
They're navigating through spreadsheets and doing all sorts of things that, even for somebody like me, I would still need a bit of practice with.
I know.
So it's not to ever sort of think that
Not when you get older, you
learning
don't
ends.
learn.
Absolutely not. It's just, I think, comes down to the individual and their willingness and commitment to want to learn. And I
Amazing.
think some of those skills is something that we try to instill. It's not just about coming into a classroom.
Yes.
It's believing in yourself that you can do anything at
Amazing.
any point in your life.
Well, look, I can't emphasize any stronger how my mum had great relationship with ChatGPT after she learned about him. So,
Yeah.
so I do agree with that
Yeah,
one.
awesome.
My next statement, automation means most jobs will disappear and retraining won't help. Why bother?
False. I mean, if you look at even throughout history with the introduction of the printing press and the Industrial Revolution, it's not
Yes.
like jobs evolve. I think industries evolve. I think that the idea that people are going to be wiped out as a result of AI is a bit of a falsehood. It's just, as humans, we evolve, and I think this is just the latest iteration in that evolution.
Right. Amazing. My last statement. You need a perfect resume and background to succeed in training or employment programs.
False, I'm going to say. I think, look, all of those things are important, but, showing up, presenting yourself in an interview, showing that you have character, personality, these are things that an employer looks
Right.
for. So, yes, while on the outside, on paper, your resume and those sorts of things
Yes.
are really important, I think presenting yourself in a way where an employer can sort of establish a bit of a bond or relationship
Yes,
with you equally is
amazing.
important.
Awesome. Wow. That was the end of my myth busting. So I'd really like to thank you for joining us today and sharing your expertise on this vital topic. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Christine. Really appreciate your time.
No worries
Thank
at
you.
all. And to our listeners, whether you're starting your career, thinking of switching paths, or want to upskill, know that there are resources and support systems out there. Lifelong learning isn't just useful, it's increasingly essential. This was Scientifically Speaking with Christine on Oz Arab Media. Until next time.